Howdy, folks. Hope you're seeing and hearing me okay. Give me a shout out if you are. Happy Friday. Using some new hardware tonight. I've done some testing, but it's always a little bit of a touch and go that makes me wonder how things are going to roll on the night. How are you? I hope you're doing well. Thank you to everyone who's joined in on the live chat. We've got a great conversation going on already. Thank you, and I hope you're having a great week. This should be a really fun show. I've genuinely been looking forward to tonight for several days to chat with you guys and share what's been going on and hear what's been going on and take a look at your photos. Tonight I'm going to be giving away a copy of my Natural Light Masterclass to our winner of the time competition. I think it was a bit esoteric, the theme. We had a lot of people just enter shots of clocks, like exactly a clock, but not that many entries overall. So I'm going to actually look at all of them today. And for next week, we've got a sponsor on board. So we're actually going to be giving away $500 worth of downloads. And I'm going to tell you about our sponsor now because I've got a second camera set up at the moment to show you a couple of things. And that's the bit of technology that I'm working my way through that I want to make sure all works okay. So without further ado, let's jump into it and check if this shot is going to work. Boom, and it has. Excellent. Now, this is the Eventi A10. This is a wristwatch that's been inspired by supercars. It's already raised 650 grand on Indiegogo, and it's got about a week left. I actually first saw this on, I don't know if you guys follow it, but producer Michael's channel. And I reached out to Eventi. It turns out that the founder and the marketing guy are both Aussies, so that was quite fun. But it's truly an international watch. It's the parts are from all around the world, and the founder is living in Hong Kong. The movement is a tourbillon movement, which is made in Hong Kong. So Australia and Hong Kong, two of my first loves. So that was kind of cool to find that they were on board. In terms of the watch itself, I'll tell you a bit about tourbillons at the end if you guys don't know. But it's something that's been around for hundreds of years, but you generally don't see it except for in like $100,000 watches. That's it at 3 o'clock there. The constantly spinning perpetual thing that you're seeing there. I'll explain it. As I said, it's international. It's inspired by cars. So it's a solid titanium case. It's got a carbon fiber strap. It's got automotive grade Cerakoting. This one doesn't. This is actually the raw titanium. But the others, they've got a bunch of colors. It's a USA made Cerakote that's applied in Japan. This particular one is $1,200 on Indiegogo, and that's going to jump to $2,000 at the end of the deal. But they also have a full sapphire crystal case edition where the entire watch, all of that gray you're seeing, is sapphire crystal. So it's completely see-through, and that's $3,300, and it'll go up to $5,000 at the end. Now, that's a lot of money. I can tell you a couple of things. First of all, I'm glad to say it looks even better in person than in the picture. It's a big watch though. I'll put it on in a minute and show you. But the full sapphire one being see-through on every side, you can see all of the movement, and I think it's going to make it look even smaller on the wrist. For those of you who aren't into watches, well, firstly, thanks for listening to this, but for those of you who are, that's a whole lot of watch for that amount of money. Although it's still a lot of money, that's a lot of watch. The only tourbillons that I know of start at about 20,000, but most are 60 to 100 and up. And the only that I can think of full sapphire case tourbillon is a Richard Mille, and they're like $250,000. So a lot of money worth of tech in that guy. So thanks to them, they're sponsoring next week's theme. And being that the watch is inspired by supercars, I thought let's make the theme cars. So you can check out the watch at genius/Eventi. I've put a link in the bio already. It's only got a week, as I said, if you want to get on board with that. And if you want to submit your shot for cars, it could be a shot of a car, it could be someone driving a car, it could be a puppy with their head out the window, it could be a shot you took on a road trip, whatever, fast action or a slow exposure. As long as it has a car in the shot, it qualifies. So don't be shy, get your shot in. I'm going to be giving away a bunch of prizes totaling around $500 worth of digital downloads. So get involved for that. And hopefully I can show you the full sapphire crystal one next week. Now, I will actually grab it, because that is a live camera that I have rolling there. And most likely we'll probably have Loki pop in a little bit. There's a strong light on the spot that's lighting where the watch was, and she loves to jump in there and get in the warmth. But so this seems like it's going nicely, the technology. We've got the two 4K cameras rolling, and my new setup will allow me to use 4 4K cameras, so that should be pretty cool. So thank you for sticking around. Let me know any questions that you guys have. Check out the links in the description. Now, to some serious and important business. This evening, I have 3 beers to choose from. 2 Japanese from Kagwa. This is a Blanc and this is a Rouge, both brewed with spices. And then I have the Trappist Roquefort 8. Any votes on which one to go for first? They're kind of expensive for ones that you buy at a grocery store, but considering it's a lot cheaper than going to a pub, I don't feel too bad about it. By the way, you can see on the wrist there, I have reasonably big wrists, not huge. I've got reasonably big hands, but not such huge wrists. It kind of sits up and has like the road presence of a Lamborghini or something. It's quite big, but I've got to say on the wrist, it doesn't feel too big. It's quite light, but it feels like it's built like a tank, like you could drive a tank over it just about. So let me know what questions you guys have as we go forward. Let me know which of the beers. It seems like everyone's saying go for the Trappist. So, by the way, this is not mine. This is on loan and I'll be returning it. This was sent by producer Michael, I think from his videographer Adam. If you guys follow them, it's a fun channel, directly to me, and then I guess I'll be sending it on to the next person who's going to take a look at it. So this is the Trappist. Is it going to pull focus for me? Oh, there we go, Trappist Roquefort. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly, Belgian beer. So let's open this guy up. My darling? So for those of us in most of the world, happy Friday. For those of us from Australia, cheers to cheers to Anzac Day. It should be the morning in Saturday in Australia, so it's Anzac Day there, and respect to everyone who's out paying respects on Anzac Day. Okay, now let me know what questions you guys have. Otherwise, I'm going to start looking at our time theme shots. Ooh la, not too shabby. Now, you might notice the shot overall looks a little bit different, and I don't know if we're going to have some moments where it misses focus on me. Because we're all friends, I'll just tell you the truth. I threw the camera to f2.8 instead of my normal f4 because I have a little bit of a cold sore coming in. I thought if I have it on shallow depth of field, maybe less people will notice. But now I've told you, so you're all going to be looking at it. William Inbody, did you look at Leica's L2 watch? No, but I was at Wetzlar and I think they had it there, but I didn't go check it out. But I did get a book on it, but I kept that to give to one of my much more further down the rabbit hole watch friends who may or may not be in the room, Silvestro. I don't know that I'll ever be able to claim to be a watch expert. I'm just a watch lover, and I have to say it's rare for someone who hasn't been into and collecting watches for a decade to get to wear a tourbillon watch. For those of you who aren't into watches, it really is something quite rare and something that, you know, you'll see a 20,000, 40,000, like Rolex, for example, as far as I know, don't even make a tourbillon, but like a AP or a Patek that might be a $40,000 or $60,000 watch. Once it's got a tourbillon in it, you're talking about $100,000, that kind of thing. They're kind of ridiculous, as in way off the chart. Mouse C watches producer Michael, and he has some wild watches. Yeah, Michael has earned a lot in his career. He's very successful, and he's indulged on some great watches. Just turn this light off. Well, I'll leave it on in case Loki decides to come out. So I'm going to take a look at the shots we've had entered. Now, I have to say, first of all, cheers. The show, when I did the test, it was not looking stable when I was doing Lightroom screen capture, so I switched it to just using Finder, but it still seemed like it was flickering. So if that's happening, I don't know why, because that's obviously an internal computer thing. It's not to do with the capture card that I'm using. So let's have a look. Okay. Now I need to switch to image review, One sip of beer and I am singing. I think it's a good thing. Okay, now, is that flickering for you guys? It looks on my feed like it is. And I'll be honest, there's not really much I can do about it, I'm sorry. All I can really do is work through it. So I apologize for that. Okay, I don't know what to do, my friends. I don't have a solution that I can work through live. I did do 2 trials of this. So I apologize for that. So I will just I'll just let you know how I'm doing it. Today I'm working all off one screen, so I'm not doing this all the time. And it seems so that's weird. Now that I'm off the screen, it's not flickering. Is it starting to flicker again now? Because now I'm back on the images. Normally it works in reverse. When I go off, it flickers. So I'm just gonna do 5 images at a time, come back to you guys. Just let you know right now, I cannot see the chat, and I can't see if it's flickering. So I'm just gonna do the best that I can, and I appreciate you sticking with me. So this one from Adam Anderson. So, by the way, as usual, I'll be taking the theme in an open way. So time, it could be a close-up on a watch face. And by the way, that was by chance. It was somebody in the room when we were chatting about watches last week that suggested we do time as the theme. And it was after that that I spoke to Eventi about having a look at their watch, and then it all just kind of came together. So how about that? But so I'll take it, open. So this is a shot that works because of the time of day and that it's a long exposure. So they're both time issues, right? Beautiful colors. I would, if you can, maybe clean up a little bit of the light spill onto the grass and just keep it in the center. But otherwise, I really like it. Beautiful colors. It's a lot of movement. When you're doing these kind of shots, I would suggest that you bracket by exposure time. So try some at 8 seconds, for example. Let's say that this was shot at 8 seconds and you like the result. Just do a couple at 15, a couple at 4, a couple at 12, a couple at 6 to see the variation. You might find that one of the ones slightly different, you like the result better. This one from Alan Gilbright. Okay, so here we go with a cycle race. I don't know if it's the Tour de France or something similar. So my first instinct was this would be a whole lot stronger if the cyclists were right up around here, if you can see this. They would then be in the sun, basically where the motorbike is, a little bit in front of that. They would be in the sun, they would be more prominent. We would still see the time marker here. But looking at it a bit more, I'm thinking maybe on the left of frame that motorbike was in motion. And if it's the case, then you couldn't wait for it to move. So the cyclists in the distance are in focus, but they're so small and they're in the shade. I think it has great potential, but I think it would be a much stronger shot were they a lot closer and this big open area in the front right of frame were closed up a little. This one from Austin Novak. I wonder where this is. If you're in the room, Austin, let us know. It kind of reminds me of Prague, not the foliage, but the building. Not that I have any idea, just a total guess. So time, we can see the time and we can see the time of year. So that works. I think it's really pretty. I think you could probably even go a longer focal length to bring it in even more on the church. This is the downside of preview. And then, a little bit in from the right, so we just get the foliage and the church steeple there. But overall, I think it's a pretty shot. Just checking that everyone is happy in the chat and jumping back to our pictures. Next up, this one from Colin Cameron. Hi, Colin. Thank you. I see your name all the time. I appreciate you entering. Now, there's a lot of things I like about this one. In a way, it kind of looks like the box of a 1980s board game, like a Jumanji or something. But what I like about it is the compass, the sextant, the watch, the map, the old diary, all of that kind of does speak to an aspect of what people who are into pocket watches are into, and that history and that period of time. So I think that works overall as a cool concept. If this were like a period type shot where I was trying to, like if it was a vintage theme or a old world theme, then I think this would be really fitting as well. Now this one from Gary Newman. So if this were meant to be a shot of the watch face, kind of a fail. If it were meant to be a shot of the hand or to have any part of under the sapphire in sharp focus, it's a bit of a fail. But if it's intentionally getting these cracks on the surface of the watch, that does tell a story of the toll that time can take on us, and it's going to get all poetic and whatnot. And in that case, it works. But I think better framing and maybe more careful composition would make it look more intentional rather than feeling like I've stumbled across a meaning that may or may not have been the author's intention on the shot. So let's jump out and take a look at your questions. I should ask, what are you guys having to drink this evening? Is everyone having a beer, or I know we have a couple of fancy champagne folks in the room. And let's send our best wishes to Steph. She's couldn't make it to join us in the chat tonight. She's got a lot going on. Hope you're well, Steph. No questions coming through yet. If you do have questions, please send them in, and Juan or Yobo will send them to me so I can reply. Enjoy your Dr. Pepper, your wild turkey, your Japanese whiskey, green tea, IPA, your polyfum. I'm sure that's not how you say it, but you're very fancy, Robert. Margarita. Oh, very nice, Susan. Salt or sugar on the rim? What do you think? Do you ever drink tequila? So I'll tell you, I had not sorry, I saw a question about the card. I never enjoyed tequila at all until my Mexican friend introduced me to some high quality tequilas and mezcal, and you could see that they, like a fine whiskey, had a purpose other than knocking you out. So I don't generally, because I don't know what the good ones are, and even the expensive ones that are popular to me still taste like they're meant to just start a fire. But if I'm with someone who knows about tequila, then yes, I've enjoyed it a couple of times in the past. So 101 blog is asking what card I'm using. You know that answer, you cheeky boy. I'm using I forget the name, I don't have the box here. It's the Blackmagic Quad HDMI capture card, PCIe card. Just slot it in and it just works. Then you can run, it's pretty crazy actually. You can do 444 4K, so 4.4.4 protocol 4K video times 4 streams all at once, if your computer will support it, or DCI 4K at 60 frames, or 4K HDR, all times 4, or a mix and match of different ones. Yes, okay, enjoy your... Now, if you know how to pronounce this photorescent, let me know. Gewürztraminer. I never know how to say that one. Jason is saying, ask Matt, do you have any watches of your own, or are you looking at any pieces in particular? Oh, I have big eyes, I tell you what. I have much grander taste than I do budgets. There's a lot. You guys let me know how much you want to hear about it. I own a Tissot, which is not a high-end watch, but I really like it for travel. It's got altitude and all of that. I showed you guys last week. I've got a couple of very cheap rubber sports watches, and I have my eye on a couple of very nice pieces. There's probably a dozen that I like. None of them are like these crazy $250,000 type watches. But yeah, in the watch world, you get what you pay for pretty much. If you can able to get them at retail, a lot of the time the best ones are sold out, and then if you want to get them on the aftermarket, they're so much more expensive. But yeah, let me know if you want more specifics, but I don't have a whole lot yet, but I can see myself starting a nice little collection very soon. And yes, I imagine they can leave you in the poorhouse if you don't keep it under control. So let's take a look at the image review. Oh, we've got a little flicker again. Okay, this one from David Putzir. David was asking, can you guess which camera it was? It's kind of obvious that it's a Canon AE1, I think, because of your very thoughtful focus. So in terms of time, that it's a throwback to the film era and when that camera came out, that works. It's a relatively nice shot. I don't think overall it's engaging if it weren't a time theme or you're not a Canon enthusiast. I don't think there's really enough of it. If it was part of a series of 20 shots about the Canon camera, then having one with most of the model number in sharp focus kind of tells a story. I do think you could bump the highlights on this quite a bit to make it feel a bit more comfortable for viewing though. This one from Eugene Hernandez. I know this spot very well. I've shot a model nude in the middle of that intersection. Crazy busy, and I don't know if you guys see when I zoom, but here you can see where everyone goes to take shots of the crossing, and then up here on the top right of the shot, there's another building that's a nice vantage point. I like it that you've gotten this guy perfectly still, and with the rush of people, this probably only needed to be like an eighth or a quarter of a second, but still to get this guy so nice and sharp with everyone moving, I think it works really nicely. The only real tie-in I see to time though is that it's a slightly slow shutter, and whenever people say something is not real or cheating or faking it in photography, I always just think about the million different shots you can take in the same scene depending just on what shutter speed you took, let alone what lens, focal length, what aperture, what frame you choose out of the infinite number of frames, and tell me it's reality anyway. The eye doesn't see what Eugene Hernandez saw here, but the camera did, and this is probably not too far from what the camera actually captured. So nice one. Similar kind of a vibe on this one from Gary Martin, Frozen in Time. I think just because of the markers on the previous one, I think that works a little bit better. I do like that your subject is really strong in the scene here, but I would like to see something from the background that gives me an indication of where we are, what are we looking at. Looks like the end of a night market or something, but I can't really get a sense of it. 1, 2, 3, 4. We'll do this and one more. So this one from Ian Knight. Thank you for this. I have a feeling this was something you went out and shot intentionally. The books all seem to speak to the theme. Now, I have to apologize, I've never seen Doctor Who, but I do know that that reinforced armor pig-looking thing up the top is from Doctor Who, but I actually have never seen it. Is it to do with time travel, maybe? So as a still life, probably it makes more sense if you know the show, but I do appreciate that you set it up. No distractions, nice and clear. Well done, thank you, Ian. Now this one, we had another one called Frozen in Time, and I think John Esposito has the same idea as you, but in a totally different way. Here we go. I'm surprised how many of you guys have pocket watches out there, really. A Remington Quartzorama, it's a funny name, the Quartzorama. And funny that it would be a Quartzorama, the typeface seems much older than that. I like the framing of it. I maybe would work on the angle of light to get rid of some of the light and shadow off the face of the watch. But it's a cool idea, and I feel like you didn't need to name it Frozen in Time to get the clear theme come through, so nicely done. Let's jump back out and see what questions we've had come through. Thank you so much to Juan, who's been sending me some through on my phone, because this is still 2001, so we need to do messaging via phones. Do you run a private project now to cover your personal experience of the sign of our times? I don't know what you're talking about. I'm sorry, Glacier. I did just put out a video yesterday. I'd love if you guys all go watch it, which was a personal project of me going to shoot a geisha in a small town in Japan, and that is a dying art form which is lost in time itself. So maybe you can go check that out. Sean Vine, on your tours, do you have a specific type of footwear that you like? I run a lot of different tours, so that really depends. I have some tours where I need shoes that can go through streams, in others where I'm going to be hiking and whatnot. I have really like the Innovate Rocklight shoes. They have great grip and they're super light and they really breathe well. So if it's hot weather, you can wear thin socks and not feel too hot. But if it's cold weather, then you really need great socks because they're made to breathe. But they're not cheap, but they're really light. So they're really thin. So if they get wet, they dry really quickly, and they're very comfortable. The only thing being a big guy and a light shoe, they tend to last about a year before I need to replace them because I've worn the tread out on them. Although not this year because I've not been out of the house. Mouse C, do you still have family in Australia? I do. Pretty much all my family are still in Australia. My immediate family and my cousins and their families are all in Australia. My sister lived abroad in the UK for some time, not just UK, in London and a little while in Germany. My parents have lived all around, but they're still in Australia. And yeah, my cousins are mostly all in rural New South Wales for the most part as well. And we're in touch often. And if you saw the geisha video, the Japanese sister that I have, who lives in Australia now with her Australian husband, they live in Queensland. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, I would love for you guys to check out the geisha video I put up. There's no commercial aspect to it. It was a huge cost sink, but it was an absolute highlight in terms of photography and travel for me. I'm really glad. It took me, that was in November, so it's taken me this long to finally get it to a point that I was happy to share it. So I hope you guys enjoy it. What are you giggling at?
Down under?
Down under? Yeah, mate. Ron Fryson, the f2.8 is showing its limits. Yeah, that's fair enough. For your information, I'm using the Sony A9 II and the 24-70 f2.8, and that's probably my least favorite of the Sony E-mount lenses, the 24-70. I haven't found the focus is a problem, but I normally do go to f4 just to give myself that little bit of a buffer. Sean, thank you. Glad you liked the video. 101 blog, when does the second geisha video come out? I'll be honest, it took me 5 months to do the first one and I haven't started the second one. Actually, that's not true. I did do a rough cut of most of it. And to make it how I wanted it would have been an hour, and I think that's just too long. So I can get it down to 30 or 40 minutes, and I thought split it in two to do the background and the preparations, and then the dinner, the performances, the after party, that kind of thing as part two. So I would hope in the next 3 weeks, but don't hold me to it. Okay, so thank you for the questions, guys. And I have to really thank you. I know when you're a viewer on these kind of things, it can be a little bit frustrating, and you guys are always so patient. So I really appreciate it. I'm not a streaming expert. I've got Juan and Yobo in the room helping me out with the comments. But pretty much I'm doing all of this switching and everything myself. And, you know, I'm just a simple Aussie guy. I get overwhelmed a little bit sometimes. So let's go back and take a look at the images again. Okay, I know this shot. Yes, I do. Jonathan Colton, nice shot. So this is quite a different shot, quite a different view compared to mine. It's this is from, I think, Long Island, whereas I'm about 10 kilometers to the south of this, looking over towards the Empire State and further to the Chrysler. But I think I know which day this was recently. We have a similar view overall. This is, you know, at the moment, probably like a 7:15 kind of time of day. It's a beautiful shot, the 1x1. I doubt it was shot on film. I think you're a Canon guy. It's a nice shot. The beauty of this time of day is, you know, people talk about the golden hour and this and that. You can get great shots at any time of day. But the beauty of this time of day is you're able to start to balance out the city lights with the ambient light. So you don't have the blown out sky, but you can get some of the lights in the buildings. Probably even, I don't know how the light was changing, but 5 or 10 minutes after this, as the sun got that little bit darker, a little bit richer, and the city lights got a little bit brighter, you'd find quite a different shot as well. But nice one. Thank you for submitting, Jonathan. That's pretty. Laith Stevens. You're killing it lately. Thank you, Laith. Laith has been submitting and getting involved with the channel for years and years. I really appreciate it, Laith. You guys might not realize it, but I do read a lot of the comments and I try to get involved and interact with people, and I really do recognize when people have been around for a long time, so I really do appreciate it, Laith. It's a beautiful shot. So the only thing I would say, often people talk about you need a foreground, a middle, and a distance in landscape shots. I don't know that that's really the case. The rocks in the foreground kind of work, but I also wonder if just going in tighter, now this isn't the same as using a longer focal length, but just going in further and having the beautiful water and the sky, if that's even a stronger shot. The rocks are beautiful, but this section here doesn't really do anything for me, and it makes the stars really small in frame and makes me just wonder what that structure is. If we're in further, we can just see what everything is, and it really puts us in the middle of it. My 2 cents. Okay, let's look at, let's say, 3 more. Oh, what do we got here? I know that this is referred to as the face of a watch. Is there something funny going on with the naming? Lawrence Weeks. So maybe, let me know if you're in the chat, Lawrence. Is this a multi-exposure in camera, or have you done this in post? It's interesting, and it's a funny play on the fact that this is called the face of a watch. The edge of the light of the clock, no, that's just their hair. I was going to say it looks like kind of the bridge of the top of a clock. It's interesting, but I have to be honest, I'm not sure that I really get it. Now this one from Marcelino. I think this is actually a macro rather than a big clock. Look at how that bent hand on that. It's a beautiful watch or a beautiful clock. I don't know that there's enough in here in this shot though to keep my interest. I think if you were right in on the details, yes. If you were in on the rust and everything, yes. It's kind of a middle ground, a wider shot for context or a real close up to show crazy details. That would be great. Mark Meyer. So we can see that this was shot at 6:13. Big Ben, Westminster, Houses of Parliament, blah, blah, blah. I'm not sure what's going on. Is that your effect? Have you added all of that blue? I don't really know what's going on there. I do think it's cool. To be honest, it looks more like graphic art than a photograph to me, but I would love to know the technique you used to get to that point. And let's take a look at one more. Ah, it's not the same person, is it? Here we go, Marcus Hughes. So here's a very different one. So this is 1 p.m. in London. That's how their London typically looks. So I think there's potential here. I don't know about having the bus or whatever it is over the building. The building is so beautiful already, but having Big Ben glowing like that is quite something. I don't know. I think this needs a bit more selective editing. I know you've got these bright highlights from the vehicle down here, but I do feel the building is going to benefit from having some more contrast through the shot. Having said that, let's go back out and take a look at some questions. Oh, that was my close-up shot. And now it doesn't seem like Loki's coming, so I'm going to turn that light off for a second. Questions. Let's just have a look at this. One, if there's more questions, please send them through, because I've scrolled through most and well, there's a lot, but it's hard to know which to go back to. Any plans for visiting Sweden? I don't at this stage know, and I've not been to Sweden. I do have plans to hopefully go to Switzerland. I know that's not the same country. And the UK and Iceland before too long, but not to Sweden just yet, I'm sorry. Robert, I get that question more often than you would think. Stranded on an island, no budget. I guess that means no budget limitation rather than zero budget. You can only choose one body and one lens. What would it be? That's a good question for all of you. So I don't know if we mean stranded island as in you're about to die and you need a heavy camera to club the wild monkeys, or it's just, that you can choose anything you want, or if it actually is about being on an island and what you would use in that kind of a trip. Let me answer it two ways. If it were an actual island that I'm stuck on, I would have to go for something fully mechanical and film. Hope I have a bag of film with me, so then I don't run into battery issues. If it was just choose one body, one camera to shoot everything for the next year with no budget constraint, again, I'd probably subdivide that into two things. If I was being practical and thinking about what is it that I need to get done, then I would either choose, that's tough. I would either choose the D850 or the Sony A7R4 with a 24-70, but seeing mirrorless has some advantages in the next year, and the Sony 24-70 isn't great. I would probably go for the Z7 and the 24-70 2.8, incredible lens. And if it were not being practical, just what would I love to be hiking around with? I haven't even tested it yet, so I can't say this, but one that pie in the sky, the Leica S3, I haven't even tested it yet, but I'm dying to try that out. So if I'm stuck on an island, I might as well have something shiny and special to try out for the year, right? Oh, I saw someone asked about keyboard. So this is a keyboard cover. I've shared the link in the past. I think it's in my description. So that they make them for all different kinds of keyboards, but this one is for this longer one, and this is the shortcuts for Photoshop. They make them for all kinds of different software. So it one has the benefit of when you inevitably drop beer on your keyboard, it doesn't get in. And two, this is covered in cat hair, by the way. Let me see if this will show you guys. The cats sit on this. But then it has the shortcuts, which is really handy, and they fit perfectly. I have them for all my different devices. KB Covers is the brand. They're great. I got into them because I was using the old MacBook Pros that had that really shitty butterfly mechanism keyboard that if you got dust in it would jam up. But now I use them for everything. Okay, Jonathan Colton, regarding my photo, it's a 6-shot HDR pano with the A7 II and the Zeiss 100mm f3.5 vintage manual prime lens. Very cool. Thank you for sharing. I thought you were a Canon guy. Mavan saying visit Belgium, not just for the beer, beautiful cities, Bruges, Antwerp, Brussels. I've only been to Brussels, but I would love to go to Bruges and Antwerp. William saying so much for Sony autofocus. Well, what can I do? I have it set up. I'm not a Sony ambassador. I'm not here to sell it to you. I'm using a Sony. That said, if I were using my D850, which is my other two most loved and owned cameras are the D850 and the Leica M10P, we'd really be struggling with autofocus right now. Let's see. Thank you again. If anyone wants to make a donation on this live stream, it'll be going straight to Juan. He's so helpful sending through all of these questions to me. Don't feel any obligation to send through a super chat, but if you do, it'll be going to Juan. Thank you for this. Ask Matt, are you using the Godox flashes? Are they still holding up? Sometimes they're not my favorite. Actually, I had one shipped in for the wedding series, which arrived with one of the two heads smashed, which isn't their fault. Shipping errors happen, but I didn't end up using it, and the return window had closed. I had another one that I dropped, and the dials on it smashed. So that's just me being a klutz. But I can't say they're my most used flashes, no. Photoresin. Mark Meyer, the Big Ben picture is a picture and then post-process in Topaz Labs editor. I'm guessing you mean the one with all of the blue hazing. I would love to know what effect you had on that. No disrespect, Mark. It's your photo. You do what you want with it. I actually like the final image. I just don't know how you created that. So I'm just curious. So if you'd share that with us, that would be awesome. Let's jump back in and take a look at a few more pickies. Thank you to everyone who has been submitting shots. Reminder, jump on over to the live page. You can see it's the same as last week. Submit your shots for the cars theme. We're giving away $500 in downloads. Thanks to Eventi, who have this Tourbillon watch up on Indiegogo right now. And you can find the link for them in the description below. That's still my product shot. Wrong window, Matt. Product, wrong one. Image review. It's hard doing this by yourself with this much IQ. Okay. Preview. Okay. Matthew Nerbison, again, thank you, familiar name. Appreciate you getting involved so much on the channel. What am I missing? What is the link to time on this? Anyone in the chat? I am struggling to see. Am I missing something really obvious? What does this have to do with time? Other than youth? Love your work, Matthew. You're always submitting great stuff. I really appreciate you being a part of the channel. You're probably in the chat. I would love to hear what the link is to time for you on this one. Please let me know. I will, in the meantime, keep going to the next one. If we have a comment on that, I'll circle back. This one from MC Hagu. I think that's how, well, probably not how you say it. This is a time flyback quartz. Okay, so I think at first this is, no offense, it looks like a new Amazon seller's product photo. Nice starburst and everything. But I think it's actually an interesting watch that everything runs backwards. So the 12 goes to 11 to 10, and I guess the whole watch goes in reverse. You know, it would be cool if they'd written time fly back and quartz in reverse as well. Or if they had made this as a non-quartz watch, that would be cool as well. I think it works fine. It's really just, it's a quirky watch and it's a snapshot of the watch. Let's have a look at two more and then I'll jump out, look at the chat and see if we have details on that shot. Milan Medek. So something about the shot I really like. For time, I don't know what the connection is other than it looks like it was shot on or made to look like it was shot on film and kind of looks like it was taken a decade or 3 to 4 ago. This is one of those shots I really don't know what to say, but I like it. I don't know exactly what it is. It looks like a field of sunflowers, some building, 2 big trees, the rest of the trees cleared for the sunflower farm. The clouds, don't exactly know what's going on, where we are, when we are, what it was shot on, but I like the shot. Maybe that sunflowers move like all flowers to follow the sun. Okay, Ray. Now, so I don't know what the significance to you is. This is, I don't know enough about old Casio watches to know. Maybe this is a really significant watch, but in terms of a photograph, there's not that much to hold me. It's not, there's a lot of empty space. You could bring it in, and if there's something about the watch that's really interesting to you or other watch guys, having it in closer is usually better. Yeah, I'm not sure what extra meaning we were meant to get from that one. Let's take a look at one more from Rico West. Sun, observe the time and fly from evil. That's lovely. I don't know if 444 is meant to be meaningful. Maybe it is, because 4 in Cantonese is bad luck. So 444 is terrible luck. So flying from evil, maybe there's some extra meaning there, or maybe I'm just full of BS. Anyway, jumping back, let's take a look at some questions. Mark Hartman, do you think the Z8, Z9 will be a good camera? I have no idea. They're not announced. I haven't read any rumors. Pretty much every camera that's released is a good camera, so I'll say yes. Cajoling, other than photo books, how often do you make large prints to hang up? Not that often, other than for clients or as gifts. I have a big digital photo frame, a mural one that we have in the house, but large prints for myself only when I'm doing exhibits, so it's been a little while. Photorescent, the photo with the two girls. It was a time before confinement with people close to each other. That's fading now that we're all confined. That's the theme. Apologies. So I guess that's it. You know, photography is a moment in time. So any shot technically counts. I guess I was looking for more obvious things than that. So thank you for explaining it. And again, thank you for getting involved so often on the channel. Sean Vine, have you ever gone on a photo tour run by someone else? That's a great question. So I went, it wasn't a photo tour, and, huh? Which one? When? Hong Kong? So I have, thank you, that's a good point. I have not been on a, well, yes and no. So the first travel that I did in Europe, other than with family, was a Kentucky tour. I don't know if they still operate, but it wasn't the best. It was a tour only for people, I think, under 30s. It was an on the bus, off the bus, you know, tasting sampler of a tour where you'd spend, that's when I went to Brussels. I was there for a day. We went and saw the statue, ate some fries, ate some mussels, got back on the bus and went over the border. But as a taste test for places that I wanted to go back to, it served the purpose and everything was organized for me. The first photo tour I went on, I went as a host slash photography expert. That was organized by someone else. And after that, I started doing my own tours years later. So that counts, I think, as a yes. And as Kate points out, I've been on other tours, mostly walking tours in different cities for food tours. I joined a food tour in Hong Kong and I joined a food tour in Boston as well, and they were both fantastic. So local knowledge does really have its benefits. Mal Media, did you get the PayPal for Languinitas? I don't think so, but thank you. I guess that means that you sent through a buy Matt a beer from the website and you wanted me to buy a Languinitas. I don't know Languinitas. Let me know about it. Thank you so much for that. I'm sorry if someone sends me something, even if it's $1, I'll send them an email to thank them. So I don't know when you sent that through, but apologies if I missed it. I don't think I saw that. Robert Popper, are you planning an exhibit soon? Well, I don't know. I have a series that I am probably almost finished shooting, but at least a lot of the way through that I think suits an exhibition rather than a book. Obviously on hold right now. And I've met some recent contacts that were talking about doing some, selling some prints, that kind of thing. But I can't say that I have an exhibition planned right now. I certainly have plenty of different series shot and grouped in my mind, if not in editing software by theme and that kind of thing. But yeah, not something planned per se. You know, I sometimes feel like people think I'm superhuman with the questions they ask, like, how do you do all of this or that? Or are you planning to do this and that and this and that and this and that? On one hand, I can do all of these things because it's my job. So it's not like I'm working 9 to 5, doing whatever you do, and then doing what you see me doing in my spare time. That is my 9 to 5. Let's call it my 7 to 10. But on the flip side, I also don't have unlimited time. So whilst I am a photographer and I am a teacher and I am a traveler and this and that, there's a limit to how much I can do. And it does all tie back to my business plan. And for 2020, thankfully, my plan had always been to spend more time working on online and in-office stuff rather than tours, so it's worked out okay. Cajoling, thank you. I just saw you sent through a super chat for Juan, so let me just see it. We will figure that out, and I appreciate the chat. I don't know where he's going to get a $2 coffee in New York, but Juan, you let me know, and I'm going to round it up to a $5 latte. Oh, and it looks like Loki has just woken up, so let me see if I can bring her in on this wide shot. She's on the desk now. Well, that's her feet. So can I... There you go. This is important stuff. That's her claws, which we're unable to cut at the moment because she scares me a lot and they're really sharp. Hey, Loki. Oh, I wish I could show you her face. Actually, I can't. Let me just do this manually. You see that? Oh. So I'm using a macro lens right now. Is meant to shoot the face of a watch, and I'm instead shooting a cat's face, so it's not the ideal scenario, but I think we can agree it's the best scenario that we could possibly have on this channel. Hey Loki, and good morning. Thank you for joining us. Boop. Boop. Well, this live stream just got a lot better. Okay. Oh, what was that? He just had a weird little foot shudder. Cats, man. They're weird. Hey, Loki. You know, I can just do this. We don't need to have it be a macro shot. Let me... Is this going to work? I'll just give it a really big depth of field. Why am I doing this when I'm live? This seems kind of crazy. Should I be doing this now? Probably not. If anyone has a question for Loki, please do let me know. Oh, and by the way, yes, New York is on pause. So, you know, pause. It's a cat thing. Hey, Loki, what's this? What's this? It's okay, people know I'm cat crazy. You can be honest. Hello. Hi. Hi. Oh, goodness. And I just spilled that. Okay. Let's take a look at a few more images. Oh, one is going to be buying himself some Modelo. Image review. Here we go. Let's jump back into these. Let's see, how many more do we have left? We have, oh, great. So we have 5, including this one. Now, this one from Robert Popper. I really think this is a strikingly beautiful shot. I don't know if you guys have seen, I think it's a Man Ray. A lot of well-known photographers have done still life shots of fruit and plants and that kind of thing, and often they're so sensual, and so the black and white treatment on them is so beautiful, even without, you know, without knowing who took it and knowing that they were a famous portrait photographer or this or that. They're just striking. And to be honest, when I first saw this one, I thought this could be one of those photographers' shots. I think it's really beautifully done. And it does. It kind of, as someone who still thinks of myself as being 25 and can do everything and conquer everything and work 20 hours a day, when that first petal starts to wither and fall away, but the facade from the other perspective is still looking good, at 8 a.m. on a Sunday morning, this is me having that one piece that's starting to show its wear and tear. Yeah, I think this does really speak to age and the changing of time. So, and I think it's just a beautiful shot. I don't really have a critique on this. I'm not a huge fan of the vignette in the top right corner. I'd probably soften that a little. But otherwise, I think the composition is great, the exposure, the toning. I think that's a really, really class shot. Well done, Robert. You should be proud of that. This one from Ron Friesen. So we have a metronome, a knife, a ring. So all of the gentleman's accoutrements. A pocket watch. So my only thing would be I would love to see the face of the whiskey, a bit more of the music. We don't need the bottom of the frame. That could go up and a little to the left to show us the chair and more of the music. See the face of the whiskey or whatever that is. And, I think it's an interesting still life of a gentleman who's into watches or pocket watches. This one from Sean Ricketts. So as a nerd, I think it's a reasonably pretty movement. Caliber 10-02-21. As a shot, I think there's too much unoccupied space. If you want the rotary, so be it. I don't know that we need the genuine leather. This space to the right and space above, I think, is wasted. I think we could come in and it would be much more interesting to show the reflection of the watch than the space above the watch. Having said that, thank you for the segue to mention Eventi watches, sponsors of next week's competition. This one from Simon Linge. There's something about Tokyo that makes you want to take long exposures at night, huh? I tell you what this says to me. This is the feeling of being stuck on a bus when everyone else is getting where the hell they need to be and you're feeling miserable for yourself because you're stuck on a bus. I just think as much as the big city lights are great, that there's more interest down in that kind of a frame, than there is on the really wide shot. And the umbrellas and the lights and the crossings, to me, all still speak to Tokyo. And this might be our last one. This is from Carsten Larson. Thank you for submitting. Now, I had looked at this one before, and I'm be damned if I can figure out what is going on. The hands on the clock look photoshopped. The light looks photoshopped. And by photoshopped, I mean added, not genuine. The clouds look photoshopped. The beam of light, especially the way it runs over her dress, looks completely unnatural. The shadow looks unnatural. The lighting on her looks unnatural. The light in the background on that house looks unnatural. It's an interesting composite, but I don't know, unless it's meant to look like a pastiche of someone cutting out the things from magazines and sticking it together, then I'm not sure that I really get it. To me, it feels like it's intentionally looking like 20 different shots that have been put together but not blended to really appear as if they were shot in one shot. So, Carsten, if you're in the room, please let us know. If nothing else, I think fixing the light balance on her and her dress would make it feel a lot more comfortable. Okay, so I'm going to just jump back onto the single shot. Hi. Whilst I take a look at the questions and choose a winner. Okay, so whilst you look at my bald forehead, I'm just reviewing the shots off screen. Now remember the prize for this week. Next week we've got $500 in downloads. The prize for this week was to be a copy of my Natural Light Masterclass, but I'm thinking that I'll actually, I might give more than one. Let's take a quick look here. Please keep sending through your questions and Juan will filter them out to me. Juan or anyone in the room, did we get a comment from Milan Medek about the shot with the sunflowers and what the importance of that was? Okay, so I've had a little look through these and I think I'm going to have to give a few prizes, not just the one. So let's jump back to the pictures. Sorry, too many programs running on. I'm going to give a few different prizes. So anyone that I give the Natural Light Masterclass to, then that means that you're an equal winner. By the way, that is also on pre-sale launch at the moment, and that sale is ending at the end of this month as well. So all of the courses right now are on sale, and Thursday the 30th, all the sales and all of the pay as you wish and all of that I've been having go on are ending. I don't mean to be cheap, but we've been doing it for about 6 weeks now, and it actually physically costs me money to be giving away courses for pay as you wish, and it's been 6 weeks, so that's going to wrap up. So let's go to the top. Okay, so we're going to do winners and runners up. Winners will get Natural Light Masterclass, or if they want, they can substitute that for another course. And runners up can get, for example, my posing guide or my Express off-camera flash guide, that kind of thing. So Adam, runner up, nicely done. Austin, runner up, nicely done. Oh, here's Loki. Oh, show's over. Time for cats. So one joint winner, hi darling. 2 runners up. Runner up for Ian Knight. And Jonathan. And then joint winners for Laith. Mark Meyer. And Robert Popper. Beautiful shot. And then extra runner-up for Milan. I don't know what's going on here, but I just love it. So I will be in touch via the email that you submitted to check which prize you would like. Nicely done. Up, and Loki's back in the warm light, so let's switch back to our product shot because we all know who the real star is here. Hey Loki, do you need to be right there? Oh, you are so dusty, girl. Hey. Oh, nope. We're not doing a close-up on your butt. Let me get that off. Okay. So that is our comp pretty much done and dusted. Thank you to everyone who submitted. If you haven't already, go on over and check out the macgranger.com live page. All the details of what we have going on are there. I'm going to stick around and answer your questions for another 15 or 20 minutes or so. At the live page, you can see details for our cars theme competition for next week. It's a competition now because Eventi watches are sponsoring us and we're giving away loads and loads of prizes, but it's still a collegiate thing and I want to share and be inspiring and help each other enjoy their photography rather than some kind of tense competition. So lucky last we have my, what was it again? Kagwa Rose Beer. Rouge. Robert just saying thank you, that's the highlight of the week. That's kind of you to say, but with all of us in lockdown, you know, the highlight of my week was making bone broth for ramen. So I'll take that with a grain of salt. Yeah, thank you to everyone who submitted. If you have any more questions, please let me know. Juan is still killing it with $6.90 of chat revenue coming your way, my friend. And dinner as soon as this mess is over. Christoph is asking, do I have any LED light recommendations for video? I'm currently using two. They're both aperture lights. Well, I'm using four actually. Two of them that are lighting me are aperture lights. One's the Lightstorm and one's a 120D. This one behind me is the Photodiox color adjustable little light. So I can make it cool or warm. It can go a bit brighter than that. And then I have a big Viltrox light here, which is kind of locked down right now. That's doing my product shots, which is basically like that one, but not as diffused, not as well built, but significantly bigger. Questions? Expectedly weird one from 101 blog. How many petals do you have? If you mean like he loves me not type things, then I know you love me, so we'll call it an even number, odd number. I don't know which one works out. Yeah, that is a weird question. I don't know. Let's say 9 because like my cats, I have many lives. Ron is heading out, so take it easy. Colin Cameron, are you going to do any more cooking videos? Yep. I don't know that anyone is wanting to see them other than you, but I've already filmed and edited one doing lamb shanks, my sister's recipe. That one's uploaded and will go live next week. And this weekend I'm going to be filming a beef stew. Just bought one of those giant cast iron pots, so that should be fun. Yeah, it's exciting times. The main thing I have to talk about these days is the weather and what we're going to cook for lunch and dinner for the next freaking week. I am not going to think about what would be my choice of a final meal, Robert, but I'll think about what would be my first choice of a great meal once I leave quarantine. I would say the finest Japanese restaurant I can get into, maybe Masa, with a sake pairing and a car both ways. Jonathan Colton, please do a bone broth video. I think that's what my photography YouTube channel has been waiting for, really. Videos on bone broths. Huh? So what I do is not really to make the New York trending thing of bone broth. It's just to make a stock. And I use bones for that. Thomas loves the cooking videos. I'm glad to hear that. Thank you, buddy. I didn't know that you watch them. Are you much of a cook? Who is the Michael Jordan of photojournalism? Does that mean who wears the baggiest suits with the most expensive wristwatches? Or who is the best former dunker in the photojournalism world? Sean Vine, are you going to open a ramen shop after this is open? That's funny you say that. Like 15 years ago, 12 years ago, my wife and I, then girlfriend, would joke that maybe we'd move to Hong Kong and I would open a dumpling restaurant because Guilo opening a dumpling restaurant would probably get some media attention, and I love making dumplings. No, I'm not. Even the best ramen restaurants are far too much work and little reward for someone as lazy as me. Photorescent, did you ever try the Zenit camera? They're the camera behind the Helios lenses. I've used one old film camera in passing. I tried their co-branded Leica camera at Photokina 3 lifetimes ago, but I can't say that I'm really familiar with them, no. So Thomas, I'll be looking forward to your cooking channel very soon. Thank you to Juan, who is sharing a tiny URL. I assume that goes to the photo community page. You know, at this point, when the sale and giveaway has been going on for 6 weeks, I appreciate it. Kind of seems tight of me to be ending it. But we've given away thousands of downloads for $1 or something that would normally be $100, $130. And actually the cost of hosting and delivering the files is more than that, forgetting about the customer service time involved. So it's been going on quite a while now, so if I'm giving you a week's notice, if you want to jump on that, check out the different bundles, all the sales, and the pay as you wish, go to the link in the description, or it's mattgranger.com/photo community, and you can see all of that there. That will be ending on Thursday the 30th, and they'll all go back to their regular rates. Juan, I appreciate your enthusiasm, but all of the "do you like Matt?" hit the thumbs up. I feel like I'm one of those desperate teenage kids. Let's just give them a rest. If they like it, they'll hit like. I trust them to. I don't want to be too needy, okay? Okay, thank you. 101 blog, if you had time, what type of YouTube video would you like to watch? So I used to, like, rewinding 4 or 5 years, I would watch Vice documentaries, and I still do occasionally. Actually, I think Vice is located about 6 blocks from me now. We've seen the building a few times. And back then I used to watch Vice, comedy videos, and clips from movies and stuff. I still watch the movie stuff. I still watch the comedy stuff. I don't really watch the Vice stuff anymore. Now I'm watching, to be honest, a lot of stuff about watches and comedy. That's pretty much it. So trying to learn about watches and the history of watches, and then trying to have a little laugh. Sigfus Steindorsen, where are you located? I'm going to say Norway. I have the 70-200 2.8 GM. Should I sell it and get the Tamron 70-180? That's really hard for me to say. I can't talk about your needs, and I don't know what you would sell the Sony for and what you would pay for the Tamron in your country. If you were starting from scratch to buy one, I have both of them right now. It would be... It really depends what you're going to use it for. For me, who wants to travel and be wandering around with it a lot, the 70-180 being so much lighter, 90-95% of the image quality, and half the weight, less than half the price, it's a no-brainer. If you are not going to be carrying it all the time, or you're less lazy than me, and budget and weight aren't an issue for you, then the Sony, and you just want the best, then the Sony is a great option still. Okay, last two questions. Lucy, do you ever get recognized as that Nikon guy? You would be surprised. Every time it happens, I wonder, should I maybe have not changed the channel name from that Nikon guy to just Matt Granger? It seems to be by country. I love the Filipino people, and they seem to love Nikon and that Nikon guy. Mabuhay to any Filipino viewers watching. Occasionally, maybe like once every 2 months, I'll have someone like actually seeming heartbroken. Why did you change your name? Do you not love Nikon anymore? We still love you, which I find really cute. I'm not, so tied to a brand. But yeah, I mean, arguably choosing that name to begin with did have a big benefit for me. So occasionally it happens. Any last questions? Black or white chocolate? Well, white chocolate is not chocolate. That's just fatty milk, gluten or something. I don't know what that is. Okay, so last question. If you guys have any, please let me know. Well, that might be about wrap-up time. It is 7:20 on Friday evening here in New York. Monday we'll have an Ask Matt segment, and most likely Steph will be joining me live, so make sure you're subscribed and you'll get a notification if you click that little bell. And then next Friday, same time, we'll be doing the car-themed shoot and giving away a bunch of prizes thanks to Eventi. Check out the description and the chat and you can see the link to them. It's just genie.us/capitals Eventi, and you can check out the A10 watch. It is a very cool watch. I never thought, even with my burgeoning interest in watches, that I would get to check out a tourbillon watch this soon. So yeah, check it out. Very cool. And hopefully next week I'll have something even more special to show you guys from them. I think that might be it. So happy Anzac Day to the Aussies. Thank you to everyone who sent in their questions. I hope you have a great weekend. Do the best you can at this difficult time. And yeah, stay engaged. Don't disconnect from the community. We're here for you. We're here to chat, and this is a bunch of photo nerds who are here to share and engage and trade stories with each other. So don't be shy to get involved. It's everyone is welcome here. Thank you to Tom. Thank you to Juan. Thank you to Yobo. Everyone in the chat. I really appreciate you all coming along, and I have to thank Eventi. I know not everyone here is interested in watches, but without the occasional sponsor here and there, it's very hard for me to dedicate days of my time each week to doing YouTube videos. And this is genuinely a cool watch. I contacted them after I had seen it on the Producer Michael channel, and it seems really beautifully built and a fraction of the price of similar watches. So check it out if you're into watches. The link will be in the description, and I'll see you on Monday with Steph to answer your Q&A questions. Head to the website and enter your car-themed photos. Have a great weekend. I'll see you soon.